Hello, this is Jose. Here I am again with my 2017 Mercedes S550 or W222. And today we're going to be talking about the engine oil. And it's that time again for me to do my oil change. And as I mentioned in my previous video with the oil, I like to change it every 6 months, not every year as the manufacturer suggests. It might be good at the year, but I just like to change it every 6 months. I like to do a little more often. If the mileage comes before that, then I'll go by mileage. But I like to do it more often than they do. And I don't drive this car that much, so the mileage is never gonna come before I have to change the oil again, but the time will. So, like I said, we're gonna be talking about the oil, but I'm not gonna show you how to do the oil change. You know that, you know how to do it, or you can see my video, and if you don't know how to do the oil change, or you wanna see a couple of ways to do the oil change, you'll see it on that video. But the reason I wanna talk about oil today is because I got this kit from Speed Diagnostics. And Speed Diagnostics gets a sample of your oil, sample that you will send them, and test and see how the minerals are in your car, and see if your engine is wearing too much, see if you need an additive, see if you put too much additive. Maybe you don't need an additive. So this company will tell you what you need. And I pay $52 for this sample and for the kit. And they send you a box with priority mail so you can send the sample back. So everything is ready for you to just send everything back. It's already here, it goes directly to them. So, and in here is a little bottle, and this is where you're gonna put your oil. Okay, it has a mark to the top, and you'll send it to them, and they will send you a report back and see how you're doing with your oil. Okay, see if you have too many minerals, too little minerals, if you have too much calcium, too much magnesium, too little of it, and they'll tell you if you might want to think about changing the oil that you're using, or you don't need an additive that you're using. And so we'll see how we do. And you have to make sure you take that sample within 15 minutes of shutting off the engine. So you have to run the car, get it up to temperature, and then within 15 minutes you got to take that oil sample. Maybe don't run the car too much. Don't let it get too hot, because you're going to be working there and you're going to be taking that oil out. You can burn yourself. So don't drive it too far, and just get it a little warm so that the oil drains and everything mixes inside the engine. But you have to make that sample, you have to take it within 15 minutes, okay? And also, when you're taking the sample, you let the oil drain, you let it go about 3 seconds, and then you start putting the oil in the bottle. And we're gonna do that. I'm gonna show you how I take the oil in the bottle. And I go through the process of lifting the car, getting the covers off, and all of that without showing you guys, because like I said, it's already on the video. But I'm gonna be doing all of that when I'm ready to show you. When I'm collecting the sample, I will show you that. And then, of course, we'll wait for the sample to go to the company, to go to the lab, and wait for the results. There's also an important thing that you have to fill out the form online before you send the sample, okay? Because if they receive the sample and they don't know whose it is, they're not gonna send you anything back. So you have to fill out the form with the numbers that you have there. They have they send you a sample ID number. So, and you have to fill out the form with all the numbers and your email and all your information. So you have to make sure you follow the instructions. There's a whole paper in there with the instructions. You receive the email with instructions. They give it to you in a few different ways. So just make sure you do what they say, and you get a perfect sample to them that they can read and see how much your engine is wearing, if it's wearing too fast, if it's perfect, if you're doing everything right, if what you're doing is perfect. So it's important to do that once in a while. You don't have to do it all the time. You don't have to keep sending samples. It gets expensive. So once in a while it's okay to do, take a little sample and see how you're doing, and if your habits are good, or you got to change your habits with your car, if you got to change the oil more often, and we'll see when that comes back. For now, let's get that sample, let's lift the car and see how it goes. Okay, we're ready to do this. Remember, you have to do this within the 15 minutes when you shut off your car, okay? Let's get this plug out. Remember to change the washer. Change the crash washer every time you change your oil, okay? And this plug goes back to 22 foot-pounds. So let's get our bottle ready. Remember, let it run for like 3 seconds and then start filling the little bottle. Should have it right handy. Let's see. One, two, three. There we go. We have a little line of when we're gonna stop. And here we go. All right, guys, so as you saw, very easy to take that sample, and all you have to do now is just wrap it up and send it to the lab. Now, I'm very excited because my results came back, and not only that, but we're gonna be able to go over those results with an expert. He is the founder of Speed Diagnostics. His name is Lake Speed Jr. His dad used to race NASCAR, so he got very involved with this at an early age, and later he started working for teams, racing teams, working with the lubricants and adding or replacing what doesn't need. So he was actually manufacturing lubricants for these racing teams. I don't know if he still is. I would have to look into that, but definitely look into what he does. So so you know the importance of this video. I'm gonna add his website for Speed Diagnostics, and I'm gonna add his channel to my description, so you make sure you go through that description so you can click on his videos and go through them, because he has very, very good, very important information that we could use for our cars. Now, these results are, of course, gonna tell us how our engines are doing inside, because we don't know. We only do we only see from outside. We don't know what's happening inside. But he is gonna be able to tell us the science of what's happening in there, what is good, what is bad, what is too much, what's too little. Just looking at that oil, this is just like when you take a blood test. It's gonna be able to tell you if it's too thin, if it's too thick, if it has too many minerals, if you're doing, if something needs to be done, something needs to be added. He's gonna be tell you everything. If something is wearing down. Just like you check your body, something is wearing down too fast. So the same thing with your engine. And I'm very excited for this. This is gonna happen in a few minutes. And I'm gonna be able to share this with you guys, so that, you know, this is not just, okay, he said, she said. It's not something that I like to do, that I'm telling you, okay, let's do that. I think we should do this. No, this is the expert that is gonna tell us. And each car is different, because we have different habits. We drive a different way. So, and then weather has to do with it. You know, it is different things. So, very important to do your own test. And we're gonna be seeing what happens with my car, with my engine, or what I've been doing with my engine, and see if what I do is correct or not. And we'll see. I'm just so excited. He took the time for all these. He didn't have to do this, but he took the time, and this speaks very well about him and about his company. He's very involved. He was the one even taking the time to make the call because I had a question. He called me, then we got to talk about YouTube, and he actually offered to do this for me and make this video. So in a little bit, like I said, it will be instantly for you, but I'm just waiting for this video to happen, and we'll be able to go to those results, and you'll be able to see what's been happening with my car. The same thing if you do this to your car, we can go over those results. As you know, you can ask any questions you have. You go into the comments, and guys, look at his videos. Lake is great with his videos. He also has another page on piston rings. So definitely look into that. Look into his videos and what he does. All right. So let's see what happens next. Okay, Lake Speed Jr. Thank you so much for what you're doing for me right now, and I was very happy, very excited to see your videos and seeing that I could just do a test of my engine, making sure my car is doing well, and everything on my channel, I always say to people, very important to keep your oil in good condition. Always change your oil, do all your maintenance, but especially the oil. So simple, a service that is so simple but it's so necessary. One of the most important ones, I think.
Oh yeah, oil is the lifeblood of your engine. So if it starts to go bad, other bad things start to happen pretty soon. Be it wear or having deposits that can compromise the performance of the engine. All those things. And the great thing is with just a few ounces of used oil, you can do an analysis and really have a good insight into the health of the engine and the health of the oil itself. Pretty easy. And it doesn't take very long to get the results either, right? You don't have to wait
It
too
was
long.
quick. Yeah, it was quick. I was actually a little skeptical about my results because looking at your videos, you're not a fan of using additives
Yep.
on cars, but so I did use an additive. I used Ceratec, and then I also did a spray on the valves.
Yep.
So after all of that, I was a little surprised to see the results. They're not that bad, and the
No,
viscosity
no,
went
no,
down.
no. Ceratec is probably actually one of the better additives. I still don't like using them. I still don't think you need it. But it's one that actually doesn't do anything bad, right? I haven't really seen any bad results with Ceratec. So again, it's the risk, like I mentioned in the video about additives, is that when you put in, brand A additive into brand X oil, you don't know how it's going to work. And just because, like in your case, you put the Ceratec and the Mobil One 5W40 and you have a good result, that's great. If you put that same additive into a different oil, you may not have gotten the same result. That's the issue. It's not that additives can't be good. It's that you don't know that they're always going to be good. You're always going to get that good result that somebody else had. That's the issue. But in your case, we can see right here, the report, things look really good. The low viscosity right here, which, the layout of the report is basically in the order of importance, in my opinion. That we start off with viscosity. It's the most important characteristic of any lubricant. And what we see typically, and we saw this in a recent video we did about viscosity, is that these wide split multi-grades, like a 0W40 and a 5W40, they tend to shear, 1060s for the BMW crowd, they tend to shear more and lose viscosity. And so it's barely out of grade. 12.5 would have still been in grade. So you're just barely below grade. And that's pretty typical for most 5W40s. Your oxidation value, which is like the health of the oil. If you think about, say, like rust, that's iron oxide. It's the oxidation of iron. Think about the increasing oxidation level is that chemical degradation of the base oil. So not much change here. That's still pretty low, which is good. Fuel dilution is nice and low. That's great. So you have no water, no glycol, so no coolant leaks or anything like that. Everything's looking good. Potassium, silicon are very low. That's great. look at your additive package. That is a very typical additive package we see today with the modern API SP. And I can tell that the extra moly and boron, that's the Ceratec.
Yeah, that's
You can
it.
see that right there. Those are higher numbers than you would normally see for Mobil 1. And then we get down to the wear metals. And the iron, this is an iron bore engine. So it's normal for the iron levels to be in the teens, especially with a 5,000 mile oil drain interval. So your iron levels are right there. Everything else is single digits, which is fantastic. So your total wear metals came in right at 31, and you do the math and you divide that by 5,000 miles and then multiply that out by 1,000, and you're right at 6 parts per million per 1,000 miles, which is just a touch above the 5 parts per million or less. That's our target. But the thing is, I, as the analyst, I don't know what the history of this engine is. Have you always been using Mobil 1? Have you always been using Ceratec? And the fact that you did put in the valve cleaner, that could have contributed to that a little bit. So all your results are in normal ranges. And what we said is just resample again at the same mileage, and let's see if those numbers hold true or do they go down. And this is what you get with the used oil analysis report. It's literally that easy to see. Everything that's good is in green. The one thing that's in yellow is something to note. But if you go to the comments and look at the overall condition, you're looking good. Everything's good. And it's literally that quick and easy to get these kind of results.
All right. So normally to get all the stuff that's in the engine takes about a couple of changes, right? So before I send you another test, do you think I should probably run some new oil, drain that, and then run another oil and then send you a sample?
I would rather see just the next sample. Just take whatever oil's in there right now, just go to that same 5,000 miles and sample again. Because the trend analysis is the most important thing. And if what happens is if you come in and you flush the system out and we'll call it artificially clean it, and then it throws that trend analysis off. We want to see, is that 17 parts per million? Is that trending upwards or is that trending downwards? You want to know. So you want to run, it doesn't have to be the exact same mileage, right? It doesn't be right at 5,000 miles. That's the beauty of having the wear rate per 1,000 miles. If you're at 4,000 miles or if you're at 5,500 or 6,000 miles on the next change, it can accommodate for that. And you still know that wear rate will still tell you and take up for any variance in the mileage. But you still want to keep it kind of close, right? So the nice thing here is things are looking good. There's no reason to do anything really different. You just kind of want to monitor it that next 5,000 miles, take a sample, check it again, and let's see what the trend analysis says. Because ultimately, the trend analysis is a more powerful tool than a single report. It really will tell you more. When that trend is going up, that's a big red flag. If the trend is even and stable, that's a really good sign. If the trend is going down, you want to know why it's going down. You don't want to just take a downward trend as that's good because the numbers are getting smaller. Well, why are they getting smaller? Because one thing people don't always know is that used oil analysis can only see wear particles about 10 microns or smaller. Most test methods can only see particles 5 microns or smaller. We use the same one that the Formula One teams do at the racetrack that can see the larger particles. It's a slower test method, so it's not as fast. You can't produce as many samples that way, but it gives you a bigger picture of what's happening, and that's really important in your case because you want to know what's happening. Is because all of a sudden those numbers start going down, and you didn't do anything different. That could indicate that the wear particles are getting so large, now they're not being detected. And that could equally be a problem. So any deviation in that trend analysis is a red flag and can help you prevent something that's really expensive from happening by catching it early. And that's the whole point of used oil analysis.
Right. So now looking at this report and looking at all these additives that are great. So do you think is I should keep using the Ceratec, or maybe just don't use it. This last time I did the oil change, I didn't put any Ceratec just because I
Oh,
wanted to
perfect.
send another report and see what
Oh,
the
great.
difference is.
No, that'll be fantastic. That'd be a nice back-to-back comparison. Now, you will normally take a couple of times for that Ceratec to be completely removed, but it'll give you an idea, directionally what's happening. I'd say not this upcoming oil change, but the next one will tell you the most truth about what's going on with it or without it. And in some cases, for your engine with that oil, it may like it, but
Right.
doing a test like this will tell you whether or not it's worth putting it in or not. That
Oh,
way
okay.
you're relying on data, not someone else's opinion.
Yeah. I also, so according to the bottle, right, it says that you have to put, it depends on the size of the engine. So I was supposed to put like a bottle and a half. So, but I did only put a bottle. I didn't want to put too much of it either.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, so the dealer, of course, recommends, or Mercedes recommends, is this car is a Mercedes. Now they recommend to change the oil every 10,000 miles.
Right.
So, and I did it every 5. And on your recommendation says, according to the results, that we could go up to 6,000 or 7,000 miles. Just
You could go further with this and I'm basing that on a couple of things. One, your oxidation level, right? That's that first key. The higher the oxidation level goes, that's when oil life is depleted. So these oils usually start around somewhere between 7 and 9. Absorbance units is the technical term here. So you're right at 13, we'll call it 14. So it's only doubled at the most. Really, you could probably push this upwards of 20 before you would even begin to get concerned. Now, the thing with oxidation is it's not linear. So what will normally happen is oxidation will increase over time a little bit, and then it will take off. So the time difference between the change from, say, 14 to 21 to 30 won't be equal.
Okay.
It's going to go not much change between 14 and 20. It'll take longer, but then that 20 to 30, it'll shoot up in a real short amount of time. And the thing is, you don't want to get too close, right? Some people will say, you're wasting your money changing your oil that often. You need to run it till the oil's, used up. The problem with that is once you get to where that oxidation level's already hit that curve and taken off, now you have what's called the insolubles, the things that lead to sludge and to varnish. They're already in the engine now. So now you're trying to get that stuff out and work backwards, and that's not what you want to do. You'd rather be ahead of the game and not form any of those things. So if you can keep that oxidation level in the mid-20s before you change the oil, then you're changing the oil before it's technically dead, completely used up, but that will also keep your engine cleaner. And the other thing we want to look at in terms of making that decision is right here, your phosphorus levels. You have a little bit of phosphorus consumption, but that's partially also because you added the Ceratec, right? So that oil starts off right around 1,000 to 1,100 parts per million on the phosphorus. You don't want that coming down too much. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of phosphorus consumption typically in these oils, but all this modern stuff is designed with, they call it phosphorus retention type ZDPs that will maintain that phosphorus level longer. They don't burn up as quickly. But if we saw that, say at the next oil change, let's say you went 7,000 miles and that phosphorus and the oxidation only changed a little bit, but that phosphorus level, let's say that had dropped down to like 840. At that point, I would tell you, okay, you need to shorten the drain interval because it's not just oxidation. You got to look at everything. You got to look at oxidation level. You got to look at the additive package in terms of depletion, and you also need to look at the wear rate. So taking all those three factors together is how, as an analyst, that's what I'm doing, is I'm looking at everything and then giving you an overall health report and guidance based on all the factors, not just one.
Right. So then with this viscosity that I have of 12.2, it's still recommended to go at 7,000 miles. I could still go
Yeah.
extra.
Yeah. What happens is a lot of oil manufacturers know that the polymers they use to make it a multi-grade oil are going to shear in service, but then as the oil oxidizes, it's going to thicken. So what will happen is that viscosity will start off in grade, it will go down in service, and then thicken back up toward the end of service.
Right. So then the maximum actual weight is really 7,000, but not wait till the 10,000 miles. That's the recommendation of the manufacturer.
I would not, based on the information you have right there, I would not just jump from 5 to 10 because you're probably going to be getting pretty close. Now, we may find that where you drive, how you drive, you can get there because there's definitely room, right? You're just under 14 on the oxidation. You could maybe get to 10,000 miles, no problem. But we don't know that yet. We don't have the data that says you can yet. We're just trusting Mercedes and their recommendation on what to do. And of course, they're doing that on a broad basis, saying, okay, as an average, that works for most people. But most people aren't you. Where you live, the fuel you use, where you drive, how you drive, the climate you're in, all those things matter. Yeah. And so that's why the used oil analysis can help you kind of dial it in. You can take that OEM recommendation, but then you can fine tune it for you based on data, not someone else's opinion.
Right. That's data that came out of your car, not just everybody's car.
Right.
So yeah, and I've always done my oil changes ahead of time, never waited till the end. Now, but there's also, according with that result that you were talking about, the phosphorus that is a little low. So if I do it too often, then it's also bad for the engine. Like, you see, if I was doing it 3,000 miles, does that affect, like, if then the phosphorus goes too far down? Or
no, if you're changing the oil, we'll call it, too frequently, the two things that you're at risk is, one, you're risking your wallet because you're spending a lot of money. Yeah. But there's also a thing called maintenance induced failures. One of the reasons that used oil analysis exists and is a big part of the aviation industry is that the U.S. Navy found that by doing maintenance based on predictive maintenance from the used oil analysis results, as opposed to scheduled time-based maintenance, they reduce the overall number of failures, because every time you loosen a bolt, take something out of a car or an engine, there's an opportunity for contamination to get in there, or something not to be tightened back correctly, or whatever.
Right.
So it's just not a good idea to just change it more frequently just to be safe. No, the U.S. Navy would say you're not being safe. You're actually causing more potential risk of harm than if you actually just did your maintenance based on what the oil analysis tells you versus what your buddy or your granddaddy told you to do, right? So those are the real benefits of doing this, is you're getting it, like I said, dialed in for you, where you live and how you drive versus what somebody else's opinion is, because there's so many variables out there that can happen. And the reality is, even with the short drain interval, I've seen oils go 20,000 miles and they're still good. Now, that's unique situation, very large sumps. They have excellent filtration. So they've kept the oil clean, cool, and dry. All right. So they've not contaminated the oil. They've not overheated it, and they've kept it clean of contamination of every sort. That oil can go a long time. I've also seen oils completely dead in less than 2,000 miles because they weren't clean, cool, or dry. They were full of fuel, in water, in silicon, dirt, and other kind of contamination. So it's not about the number of miles or the amount of time. that's on the sample. It's really how clean is it. If you can keep it clean, the oil is going to be good. If you get it dirty, it's not going to be good. I don't care what brand it is. I don't care what it's made out of. None of that matters if it's dirty. The best oil is oil that is clean, cool, and dry.
Right. So how often would you recommend doing these tests?
I mean, when you're starting off and you've never done it before, it's good to do it the first few oil changes to establish that baseline. Once you've established the baseline, then depending upon the value of that asset, how important it is. Like if it's how you make your money, if it's a delivery truck or something like that, you probably want to do it fairly regularly because it costs you a lot of money to have downtime. But if it's just your daily driver, then it's like a once a year health check. We do that for a lot of classic cars and things like that. It's like going to the doctor once a year and having your blood work done. This is toward the end of the year before you put your car away for the winter. Take the oil sample, send it off, get your results back, and then here's how I am, right? Because the good thing is, if you do that at the end of the year, you're getting all the dirty oil out before you put the car up for the winter. So you're putting it in with clean oil. Because the oil's not going to go bad just sitting in your garage all winter. Just don't crank the car. Don't mess with it. Leave it alone. It's going to be fine. Bring it back out in the spring. Drive it all spring and summer. Next fall, change the oil. Put the car away. And when you do that oil change, take the sample and go ahead and get your yearly health report so you know where you are.
Yeah, and this so this hasn't been big in the car community. This has been big in, like you mentioned, the Navy. I guess just started this a long time ago, but not, it wasn't big on cars, and because of that, like I was a little skeptical, but I was afraid maybe of the price. I was thinking, oh, that's got to be expensive, one test like that. But when I went to your website, I was just shocked to see, it costs less than an oil change, and then how healthy or how bad your engine is. So I was very surprised, and again, meeting with you and talking to you, and you take responsibility for everything. You take your phone calls, the emails, these kind of conversations, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much.
Happy to do it. We're here to support our customers, like you and everybody else that chooses Speed Diagnostics. We're not the cheapest thing on the market, but like you said, I feel like we're reasonably priced for what we do. You get a higher level of service, you get a faster turnaround time from us. Yes, you can get oil analysis done cheaper somewhere else, but you're not getting our level of service. You're not getting my expertise, my experience being provided back to your report. Like, for anybody watching the video, this is a regular customer. This isn't something we pre-planned all of this. This is just somebody that purchased a kit, took care of it, and said, "Hey, wait, you have to have a YouTube channel? That's great. I do too. We can get together and we can go over the results like this." But I do this kind of stuff for other customers as well. This isn't something that is just special treatment. Doing a video might be, but the reality is what you see in that report is what everybody else gets as well.
Yeah. So just real quick about your expertise. You're a tribologist, and that's the study of the lubrication, the friction,
and lubrication. Yep.
Yeah. I just wanted to put that out there so people know why am I talking to you? Why are you doing this? But you are a true expert on these, and I can't even express how excited I am with this conversation, talking to you, having you on video, and have you on one of my videos. This is amazing. So
I'm glad it helped for you. Hopefully for the viewer, it's also educational. Helpful.
Yes.
They can, because if they have a similar situation to yours, or they're trying to understand, they bought a new vehicle. How's it doing? What's the history on it? Well, maybe know all the history. Maybe you trust that Carfax, maybe you don't. But what's the condition of it now? Well, you can know. You can get a lot of answers by doing one test versus having a lot of opinions from people that tell you what they think it's going to be doing. You don't have to think. You can know.
Yeah. 100 times better than a Carfax, that's for sure. That you really know what's going on. So this kind of test can be done also with the transmission oil?
Yeah, we can do transmissions. We can do gear oils. Yeah, pretty much any fluid.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Like, thank you for all this time you given me. Thank you for that report. It's amazing. I'll bother you again when I get to my 5,000 miles with just pure oil, and we'll see and compare. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thanks, sir.
All right.
All right, guys, very exciting video. I never thought this was gonna happen. I never thought I was gonna be able to speak to Lake in a video like this, and showing you guys what the importance of this maintenance is, and especially this test. You know, before I didn't really think about this test because I always thought it was too expensive. I didn't even check on pricing for this because I always thought of something big like the big engines for boats, for planes, and to be able to do this to your car is very important. So, and as you saw and you heard from the expert in oil and lubrication and friction and wear, so he knows what he's talking about. He knows a lot more than I do, definitely. So, guys, do yourself a favor, do this test for your car. I'm gonna repeat it in a few months because right now I'm not using Ceratec. I just wanted to see what the difference is, and for me it worked. As you saw my test, only the viscosity went down just a little bit, but adding the lubricant with different oils might be different. Maybe the stuff that Ceratec has, your oil already has, and then you're adding more, so that might be bad for your engine. So it's really good to take this test, and that way you know exactly what you're doing. If you have to add something, if you don't have to add anything. Lake is not a fan of adding anything to your engine, any additives. As you can see in his videos, if you see his videos, you'll see all of these. But it worked for me. It worked for this car. It worked for that type of oil. Maybe if I was using a different oil, maybe it didn't work. But for me, it works, and that the results show that it works. So, like I said, I didn't use the entire amount, the full amount that the manufacturer is recommending to use. I use a little more than half of what I had to do, but it worked perfectly for the car. So we'll see with the results in a few months, see what not using the Ceratec does. Maybe I didn't have to use it. Maybe my car is just fine without it. But the only way to tell would be with this test. Now, the viscosity might have been affected for the spraying of the valves that I show on that video, and I'm working on another video on a different way of spraying those valves. But and I'll upload that after I do this video. I'm probably gonna upload this video soon. But definitely worth spending the money, and it's not even that much. As I said, it's a lot less money than doing an oil change, especially if you do it yourself. If you're doing your oil change somewhere else, it's gonna be a lot less than that. So, but it's easier if you're the one taking the oil change, taking the sample and sending that sample out. It's not difficult to change your oil. Change your oil, that way you know what you're putting in your car. You don't know what they're doing in a shop, at the dealer. You don't know what kind of oil they're putting in there. So this is the only way to know what's happening with your car. If you do it yourself, that way you know which type of oil you're using, which filter you're using, and then with the test, you'll know exactly what's happening to your car. So guys, I hope you like the video. I like this a lot, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.